Welcome back to the Budding Author Podcast with me, your host, Simon Ward. Today, we're talking to Jeff Bray, who is a Christian author. Hi, Jeff. How you doing?
Doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing well, mate. Doing well. It's the sun's shining. It's a lovely day.
Yes, here too.
That's very good. So, Christian author. I guess from that you would be a Christian gentleman.
Yes, sir, I am. I've been saved all my life.
Pretty
Much since birth. I was born in the nursery, almost pretty much. Is what we could pretty much say.
So, how long have you been writing for, Jeff?
I've been writing kind of since high school. I mean, I wrote a little bit of poetry in high school, but I didn't really commit to it until I was in my 40s, actually.
Yeah, sort of a bit like me, really. Sort of in later years when you've got more time available. I think
Yes.
That sort of thing. So the Christian genre, was it always going to be Christian work that you'd be writing?
Pretty much, yes. I mean, I started off with, just a silly little lovey-dovey poetry back in high school. But I mean, until when I first started writing, it's always been the Christian genre, pretty much.
So I think, is it more important with that to have a very special message in each book?
Definitely. Redemption is pretty much the central theme of everything. The having struggles, somebody who struggles with their own self-worth, their own salvation, and then coming to redemption at the end.
Would that include sort of specific sort of Jesus references, or would it just be a story in that kind of moral fortitude?
Pretty much, yeah, the moral. I mean, there's not too much reference to it. There's one series, my Far Bargate series, does dig deeper into the Christian Jesus message. But overall, it's pretty much just how people are, they're Christians and they struggle with daily life and going through what they go through.
Yeah. I think maybe one of my work in progresses, which is sort of what sort of struck a tune with me, which is why I wanted to talk to you. I hadn't thought of it as a Christian book, but it is very much along those kind of lines about sort of challenging your own destiny and the good versus evil kind of personal struggles, particularly of a teenager. Is it a big category, the Christian genre?
Not as big as I would like it to be. But for the certain people who do enjoy it, yeah. I mean, I would like a little bit more purchase sales, but I mean, it's really not about the sales to me.
Wouldn't we all? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really about the sales to me. I mean, I feel called to write. So the person, if I can get one person to buy the book and it makes an impact in their life, then I feel I've done my job.
Well, I think I'm a bit similar, really. I think we would all like to sell 1 million copies, of course, but I mean, it is. I write, and I want people to read my stories and enjoy my stories. And I think my first series was sort of more sci-fi drama, but I've switched into a more young adult series. And what I'm working on now, sort of, I think lends itself to sort of like a Christian category. What would you not include in a Christian genre book?
I wouldn't delve too deep. I mean, even with a husband and wife relationship, I wouldn't go too much depth. I mean, I've kind of delved into the husband and wife relationship. I mean, I kind of alluded to they went to bed together, but I wouldn't go too far into that type of relationship.
Yeah.
I do kind of get dark. There is my the transference book. That is a very dark book, and even to the point to where it's almost not really a Christian book. I mean, the main character is Christian, and he struggles with Christianity, but it's a very dark spiritual book.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a struggle getting through that book. And I mean, it took me over a year to write. But I mean, such dark aspects like that. And, but there's certain things that, yeah, I mean, certain things that I wouldn't touch to put into a book. And kind of like I said, the sexual aspect of it. I mean, but other than that, whatever I feel God's putting on my heart to put into the book, I'll put it.
Yeah. Pretty much open season other than sort of sexual detail, I guess. Yeah. I think should all fiction books have a message, or do you think it's okay just to have a general story?
I think to grab a person's attention, you have to give some sort of message, because they have to relate to it. And if you can get a person to relate to the book through a message that's going to connect with them, then you're going to get more readership. I mean, more people are going to want to pick up the book, and you're going to get that connection. Oh, you've got to read this book. It spoke to me. You got to read this book. I mean, you're going to get more people in the book because everybody's going to be recommending it.
So in your process, do you have an idea of a message you want to portray and then start to write a book connected with that? Or is it you have an idea for a book and then you bring messages into the book? Well, how would you do that?
Well, most of my ideas for books come from dreams I have. So it's pretty much taking that dream and just going off with it. I mean, I'm pretty much a plantster. If you know the terms, different pantster. With all that, I just take off with the book from that. And that pretty much is the central theme. Most of my dreams, kind of like Jacob, he had dreams and everything like that. And so I take that dream and go with it. And whatever God speaks to me to write through that is pretty much what the book entails.
So doing God's work is and the fruits of the Spirit, of course. So you think you're receiving a message to sort of write a book about a particular issue, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, yeah. Through the different books, yeah, it's pretty much love relationship, the love story, my other series, the one series that I write, the Little Reminder series, is pretty much a love story. And it's pretty much about an angel who's sent to repair relationships. And it's pretty much the central character is this angel sent to the central character to repair their relationship and to help them pair them with their earthly partner. And so that was a very great series to write, to help them repair themselves with the relationship with God, and in order to bring them a prayer relationship with their significant other.
Do you think sometimes that the message is stronger when perhaps you don't mention God, you just talk about a message about the way sort of the moral side of it, where sort of people are sort of following a good path, rather than sort of specifically mentioning sort of the Bible and Jesus and things?
Well, through that, I don't really specifically mention, God and the relationship with God in it. Through a lot of the stories, a lot of it is kind of hinted. But I mean, obviously, through the different stories, the God has to be mentioned at some point.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of in the delivery, especially with the transference. It was a lot of allusion to it, except to when the climax hit. It was pretty much the battle between God and the devil, pretty much, towards the end.
Yeah, I think I've written a series that it's a young adult series, sort of moral dilemmas, and that sort of challenging them. But what I've been writing currently, I'm sort of unsure of the title, but the title is pretty much The Healer. And in my mind, when I was writing it, it wasn't sort of particularly a Christian-based book. But I mean, my background is in Christianity. But yeah, I didn't think of it as particularly a Christian book. And then I saw your message on Twitter and things like that, and it's like, hang on, well, this is pretty much a children, because I think within the healer, people are referred to him is either Messiah sort of thing, and it's like no rubbish or nothing like that, and sort of but then the good that he's doing from healing people, and then naturally there's the anti-hero as such. People are sort of trying to drag them away from that, and the effects that they're having is sort of quite negative for people. I think it's important to have the opposite side of the fence, isn't it, when you're writing your stories?
Right. Yes, because I mean, there's always have to be, I mean, showing the negative aspect, or else, because you can't always show the good, because there's always no, that's not how it is, because there's always the negative aspect to it, because you got to show the antithesis of it so people can appreciate the good, because there's always the evil in the world.
So you mentioned you're more of a plantser. So just for clarity, we've got the pantser, who would effectively see to their pants, which is Stephen King. Really, it just has an idea and just writes the whole story based on that. And the plotter, who will sort of work out what's going to happen, write each chapter heading and a brief summary for each chapter, and then sort of then write each chapter with a very clear purpose. And then I think, as you mentioned, the plantser is sort of in the middle, really. You've sort of got an idea where it's going, but as you're writing it, the characters take over the plot a little bit. Yeah, I have that. I've written books, and I've had a particular direction, and then it's just switched in my head. So like, well, how about if that didn't happen? And then I've sort of gone a completely different suite, and the characters sort of told me, no, that's not what happens. The sort of characters take control of the story. It's sort of great. Yes. It's a great emotional journey writing, isn't it? Don't you think?
Oh, yes, it is. I just love it. I mean, I've always felt that I've loved writing ever since I was in the 3rd grade, and I wrote my first little book, and I've always felt a love for it, but I've just never did it. In junior high, I started keeping a journal every single day. So from junior high up until I graduated high school, pretty much every single day, I was writing in a journal. And so I've just always had a love and a passion for writing. And then I started keeping poetry, and it just never did it. And it's just finally, when I hit my early 40s, a buddy of mine and I just said, you know what, we're not getting much out of life. Let's start doing something about what our plans were, what our love or passion is. And his was, honestly, I'm sorry, I can't remember what his was, but mine was writing. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. So I bought a couple of books about getting it through the process, and boom, next thing you know, here I've got 3, 4, 5, 6 books written. I've got 2 more getting ready to come out next year. I've got 4 children's books, and here I am, like 5 years later. I've got all this.
You're flying on
success, and it's just because I sat there and said, you know what, I'm just going to do it.
Well, I think when you feel like you're a passion, as whether it's come from within you or from outside of you, the passion that sort of drives you, that's such a wonderful thing. And I think it's true. You've got to enjoy the writing process. We're not writing to make money, even though making money would be nice. A welcome change. But it's the passion for the writing, I think. Do you feel more comfortable writing or reading?
Definitely writing. Reading is a little more difficult for me now because I have epilepsy. And so that was one of the things that I used to be an over-the-road trucker. And so that was one of the things that was difficult for me was I had developed epilepsy probably about 5 years ago now. And that took me off the road. So I can no longer drive. And that so pretty much enabled me, allowed me to be able to dive into writing full time.
Yeah.
And so I've been writing full time ever since. And so allowing that to be able to do that. But just lately, it's been difficult for me to focus, to be able to read a little bit more, because I used to be able to knock off 30, 40 books a year. And so just between time and to being able to stay focused enough, it's difficult for me to actually get through a book because I can't focus. It's difficult enough for me to write now, let alone to actually try to read a book.
Yeah, I think I get frustrated reading because the stories don't set me alight. There's certain authors that do, and I find those very easy to read. But the books that are quite formulaic frustrate me. I think each story should have its own message, but should be a new story rather than sort of the same structure. The same structure again and again drives me crazy. There's a couple of authors which I won't sort of criticize because they're very successful, but to read one of their books is fantastic, but then to read another one, it's like, this is the same story. It's the same. I've read this one. One exception that I'll mention that I really enjoy is Ben Elton. Have you ever read Ben Elton stuff?
Not.
That's good message. There's one particular one. Let me. I don't normally promote other writers too much. Blind Faith, Ben Elton. You should have a look at that. You should have a look at that. And I think anyone listening or watching Ben Elton, Blind Faith, is an excellent futuristic sort of dystopian future. And several of his books I've read and been very impressed with. And I suppose it inspired me in some ways to write more. And you've got to feel that passion, haven't you? You've got to feel that passion for the story. I think there's so many areas to an author. When we talk about the marketing side of things, how do you get on with marketing and promotion?
That is one of the most difficult things I've tried to get a discipline on. I'm just trying to get more posts, just posting on social media, and I'm trying to do a little bit more of that. And I'm trying to get a little bit more. I'm trying to schedule more posts to get my books out there. And I've seen a little bit of an uptick on purchasing just by doing that, by scheduling posts for my books to get out there and to be seen, to get the clicks over to Amazon to people to get to buy them.
I had a lady I had on my show recently, Eve Kaguchi. We talked about paid advertisement, and that's very tough to make a profit on paid advertising.
Yeah. I've tried that over on Facebook, do a little bit about that, but I didn't see. I've tried so many different ways. That was one way, Facebook ads, and just trying to. And I saw maybe during the whole time I did that, I saw maybe 2 sales.
Yeah,
and it just doesn't worth it.
I tried it, but it wasn't working for me, so I sort of cut it short.
For me, it wasn't working. For maybe it's just a way I wasn't doing, or I wasn't doing enough of it, because I pretty much did the bare minimum.
Well, I'm currently sort of signing up for a social media marketing class to try and sort of boost my things with that, because I am aware that part of the reason for starting this show was sort of to increase engagement and to get advice from experienced authors, which is what we've been doing on the show. And since doing the show, the amount of people that have those little nuggets that are so important for people like me that are sort of quite relatively new to writing, really. But I think even people have been writing for years, it's important to get that kind of message to sort of it could be anything from some editing tips to marketing tips, particularly. It's important to talk to other authors, because it's one of those things. I think when I used to be a DJ, and whenever I was DJing, I'd have somebody come up to me and say, "Oh, my mate Dave's a DJ. Do you know him?" And it's like, no, because generally a DJ, you don't see any other DJs because you're the guy that's doing the DJing. And authors, it's similar in some, well, very similar in some ways. You don't see other authors generally, so you don't have chance to interact with them and learn from each other and share stories and share challenges. What's your biggest challenge at the moment?
Biggest challenge at the moment is just marketing. That's pretty much the biggest thing. I mean, like we were just talking
probably
about,
most people would say that, wouldn't they? I think
trying to get the sales, because I mean, I would like my books to get out there and get sales of the books. And it's just, I probably not so much the marketing, getting motivated to do what I need to do to market myself.
Well, I understand what you're saying there, because as a Christian gentleman, you sometimes you feel you don't want to be pushing your books out to people, but as a salesperson, which you need to be as part of your suite of skills, it's hard to cross over, isn't it, to that side of it.
So what I've been using lately is what I've been using lately is an app called Publer. It's kind of like Hootsuite, only it's a lot cheap. They have a free site. Remember when Hootsuite used to have a free platform to where you can use it in a certain avenue to where you can schedule posts, and it was free. But Hootsuite took away the free version.
Okay.
And Publer,
I've not heard of
Publer. And so they have a platform, Publer, and they allow you to schedule, and they allowed you to do 10 per platform. So you could do 30 scheduled posts. And so that's what I do through my week is schedule different posts. That's what I schedule my books and everything like that. So people have the links to go over and purchase my books.
And Jeff,
so pretty much
if you send
on one day, I'm sorry, go ahead.
If you send me a link for that. We'll put it in the description for the video so people can find it.
Okay.
So we'll do that. Yeah. That'll be on the YouTube show, of course. So that's good. So Amazon, is that your main source of sales, or where else do you go for sales?
Yeah, pretty much all booksellers. All my books are available to me. I have a publisher, so it's not like I'm self-publisher. So it's by having the publisher, they do all the stuff through putting it on all the different booksellers. I have a website, which is jeffsbrayauthor.com. Everybody could go over there and find my books there. But pretty much those links take you to the website. But I mean, goes to the Amazon to purchase everything. That's the main source of where all my books are at.
Are any books in Christian bookshops?
Not at this time, no. But I mean, my local library is carrying them, which is a benefit. A lot of people out here, local coffee shops carry them when they have books. So
that's a big help, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
How did you get a publisher? Was that through an agent?
I actually was selling my children's books, and I was getting ready to publish my was actually finishing up writing my first novel, and I was at a library event for another writer, and I was talking to her about my book, and she says, "Hey, you can go over and talk to my publisher," and so I emailed him and pretty much got hooked up. So I didn't go through a lot of the pains that a lot of other writers have gone through with the submit and denied. I pretty much knew a writer who
publisher introduction. Yeah.
So that was a benefit to me, but it doesn't mean that I haven't had a bunch of millions of rejections through my other writings. I try to get a different poetry and other type of articles, short stories submitted and rejected. So I've had my share of rejection letters.
Yeah, I'm starting to tot them up now. I'm starting to pile up the rejections, but I mean, hey ho, it's the confidence thing. Do you struggle with confidence with your writing? Because I think a friend of mine had been writing books, but because he hadn't been getting many sales, he's completely stopped. Is confidence an issue for you, or are you just confirmed?
I thought I was fairly confident with status, who I was, and the things that I could do. And I recently had a book event. I've done a couple of these. It's to where it was a charity event to be able to bring in some food for a local food bank.
Yeah.
And the past years have been pretty successful to where we brought in food and everything like that. And this last year, it was very unsuccessful. And I thought that, oh, here I am, Jeff S. Bray author, local author. Everybody knows me. It'll draw in people, and it'll be very successful. And I was knocked flat on my face this last time. And I was very disappointed because here I thought, oh, Jeff S. Bray, yeah, he's known. Yeah, he'll be able to draw people in. And it just didn't go the way I planned it. And I was very disappointed.
Yeah, I think it's one of those challenges. Like, for me personally, I think the poor response in sales can sort of knock you down, but for me it doesn't take much to lift me up. So when I have some good reviews on my books, that sort of just fills my chest and I'm sort of ready to go again.
When people click, because you don't know, especially with Amazon, you really can't tell too much about your sales, but I mean, you really can tell what sells when someone clicks that review. So when you see that review, it's like you said, it's so uplifting. It's awesome to see somebody's giving you, even just like, oh, I read the book, it was good. And it's just something about seeing a review.
Yeah, I think it's so hard to get noticed though, isn't it? There's so many books.
Yeah, I mean, but even just one of them, I just love being able to promote. Yeah, especially like we're talking about Publer and everything like that. It's just which one am I going to advertise? So I mean, I try to spread out throughout the week advertising a different book. But what's been really getting the hits and getting the sales is my children's series. And there's a long story with my children's series, but to sum it all up, I've gained control. I used to have it published through a publisher, but now they are several. I have them now. I have control of them, so they're self-published currently, and I wasn't sure exactly what to expect. But just this last week, I checked sales, and I've sold like 5 books, and it's all because of Publer being able to get those advertisements out there, and people are clicking those links and purchasing.
I think a big takeaway we've got from today is that Publer. We definitely need to check in the description and go have a look at Publer. The children's series. Let me tell you a little story. Actually, it's quite funny. The healer that I'm writing at the moment refers to a children's book, but it refers to a children's book that doesn't exist yet. So I've also written under a pen name the children's book that connects to the story of the healer. So that's going to be an interesting one. But the funny thing is, I get a feeling that the children's book will probably sell more than the healer, perhaps. But it's that connection sort of levels, and that's, I like sort of the intelligent sort of levels to a book, and the twists and turns in the story and that sort of thing. Final thing, Jeff, what's your guilty pleasure? What do you enjoy that you shouldn't?
Oh, brother. Dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
I always have a bag of Dark Hershey's Kisses on near my laptop.
Yeah, chocolate for me. I think that is probably another one for me. But we've got to be bad sometimes, haven't we?
Yes. Yeah. So.
I think everything in moderation, including moderation. I think that's brilliant. Jeff, this has been a delight. Yes, everybody check out Publer. That's excellent advice from Jeff. I'll be following that myself and trying to make better use of our time as well. Sort of superb. Thanks very much, Jeff. Wish you well. All his links are in the description. So check out Jeff's stuff, his children's stories, and his Christian-based novels as well. That's perfect. Excellent. Thanks for
having me.
Cheers. Thanks, mate. Nice one.